Ethan Morrow, his private signing deadline is March 27th. That is tomorrow at Pro-Am. Hop online at proamsports.ca. They also have signings set up with Desharnais and Ryan Smith. For more details on that, proamsports.ca. We were just talking about the 75th anniversary of the Edmonton Elks. And as I was teasing Jamie McLennan coming up, I did say none of this would be possible without Noodles saving Commonwealth Stadium all those years ago. Do you take some credit? Are they bringing you out for part of the celebration, Jamie?
They should. I mean, realistically, excuse me, I'm 16 years old. I saved Commonwealth Stadium single-handedly with a garden hose. So keep in mind, there was a little blurb in the Edmonton Journal the next day saying the underwear was burnt, but one of the workers helped out. I was one of the workers. So gotcha. I was the only guy at Commonwealth Stadium. I think I remember there was like a chiropractor guy, some doctor who worked there as well. He came running through, but then he bailed. Last time I saw, he was running for the X's. So I stood in there and fought the fire with a garden hose. And I remember the left arm of my shirt was singed, and I had soot all over my face.
Did you use the thumb at the end of the hose to spray it?
Yeah.
Or you had to, right? Imagine fighting a fire with just regular pressure hose.
It had no pressure because it was so long, and I had just kind of rolled it out of like the player's bathroom. I hooked it up to the sink, and then the cord had to run all the way around to the laundry room. By the time it reached there, it was just kind of like dripping out. So I had my thumb in there, and I was grinding. I'll tell you what, I was grinding.
I love the doctor massage therapist guy, full blown George Costanzaing it and like fire. Oh yeah, and like pushing 16-year-old Jamie McLennan out of the way. Great story nonetheless. Every time I think about this, I have a good chuckle. But not a laughing matter in this market right now, Jamie, as the others, just duds over the weekend. You were working that Ottawa game, so we'll set up the Oilers and Jets here in a second. But I mean, it looked like that game against Ottawa, they were about to put their foot down on their throats and sort of run away with it. But the penalty kill just wouldn't allow it, would they?
No, two things. They were in complete control of that game. I thought they dominated it. You look at the chances, you look at the shots, everything. Korpisalo made some big saves to kind of not let it get out of hand. And I think they took their foot off the gas. Hyman scores his 50th. They kind of had that like collective sigh. Hey, we're in good shape. We're up 3-1. And then, Vinny Desharnais, I don't think he's looked great since coming back from the injury. He looks a step off for me, some of his decision making. And I know there was it was a hot button topic. Were those penalties or not? For me, I thought there were penalties. Just move your feet. If you move your feet, then you give yourself a chance. Then you can skate into a guy's lane. Then you can interfere with a guy if you're skating along with him. He didn't move his feet, and then he would jump into their lane. There would be nowhere for somebody to go. So to me, I didn't think, his penalties were great. I think the ref probably could have let them go, but they were still penalties. And to me, it was his pace. And those are two penalties that are costly. And then the penalty kill got to get, you got to get going. Like, you score within 10 seconds off of the puck drop. To me, you've got to run your routes. And I know there were beautiful passes by Batherson and there were some great plays, but ultimately your penalty kill has to find a way to not give up 3 goals in a game. So the Oilers were the better team, but unfortunately they didn't get the better result.
Noodles, Evander Kane observing a maintenance day during that game down in Ottawa. We had Zach Hyman getting his 50th. He's been having a great year with McDavid, that top line, Nuge alongside. The question to you, I guess, would be, with Kane having the maintenance day and Hyman doing what he was doing on the top, what would you do with that top 9? We had a talk with Rashog yesterday, and he kind of laid out his theories and everything, but where would you put Kane? Do you mess up the top 3? How do you go about solving the Oilers' top 9 combination for tonight, Winnipeg, and moving forward into the playoffs?
Well, the one thing I will say is the Edmonton Oilers really need Evander Kane because, you think back to that Calgary series, the Calgary Flames did not have an answer for Evander Kane. Yes, you're going to focus on Draisaitl and McDavid, the 2 best players in the world. But when you have somebody who literally was bullying the other team, was scoring goals, was hitting. There was just no answer. He's a unicorn player in today's league because he's as tough as Tom Wilson, but he's a better player than Tom Wilson. He's a guy who can play in your top line or top 6 or top 9, depending on the depth of your organization, but he brings a different dynamic. And I'll be honest, I was disappointed in him and others. I was at the game in Toronto, and, Toronto pushed them out of the building. I've never seen the Oilers get pushed out of a game where 97 and 29 are the only guys who were pushing back, where it should have been, okay, Edmonton, you want to touch 97? Evander Kane skates up to Austin Matthews and goes, I'm going to punch you in the face if this continues. Desharnais, who comes back in, Darnell Nurse. These guys can handle themselves.
They got guys, right? They got guys who can do it.
And team toughness is everything, because to me, that sends a message. It's like those guys are off limits. They're, as much as they want to fight their own battles, they don't fight their own battles. And if you want to head down that road, then just ask your top players if they want to be harassed like that too. So I thought the Toronto Maple Leafs had their best game of the season from, yes, they got depth scoring, but it was more of a team toughness standpoint. We haven't seen that from the Leafs, and I don't think the Oilers had an answer for it that night. I don't think they were expecting it, and then it was too late once they got engaged into the game. So, I look at it, coming back to the Evander Kane question, is they need him to be engaged. And now I don't know how much damage his wrist has, the wrist injury was so severe. I don't know if he feels comfortable fighting. I don't know if he feels 100% comfortable with the puck. But keep in mind, this is a guy, I believe he has 21 goals on the season. It's not like he's, had just the worst season of his career. I think he's in a tough patch. I believe it's been 16 games where he hasn't found the back of the net. Keep in mind, he was a big part of Connor Brown finding that goal. I thought he was brilliant that night where he had an opportunity to shoot that puck and he didn't. He wanted Connor Brown to score. So I look, there are things that Evander Kane can do better, but the challenge is for Chris Knoblauch is to find some comfort for him, get some confidence back into him. But I wouldn't mess with the top line. The top line is the top line. I think they're the best line in the league, arguably. But it's more about finding him a role where he can contribute. Maybe it's a situation where you find a little bit extra power play time for him, or just a scenario like the Oilers the other night had where McDavid and Draisaitl, that top unit stayed out there for the 2 minutes. So you're not finding extra minutes for guys that maybe need a little bit of confidence in their game. So I don't know how it would shake out, but I think it's more about finding him time where in the offensive zone where he could, get a goal, play some straight line hockey. Now, again, it's not on the coach to just say, I'm going to put you out there for 22 minutes and, hopefully you can score. Evander Kane has to look at his game. He's got to be better, and he's got to be a force like we've seen him. He's set the bar. We all know what he's capable of. He's got to play to that capability.
Jamie McLennan with us here on the show this morning, brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. You mentioned Desharnais there a little bit. I was a little surprised that on back-to-backs and with the way the Toronto game went, that they ran back the same 6 guys on the blue line against Ottawa. Against Winnipeg here tonight, would you put Stetcher in, or would you kind of roll with the same 6 again?
Here's the only thing I'm thinking with Desharnais is you're trying to get him up to game speed. You're trying to get him into a groove where he feels comfortable. Because before that injury, I thought he played really well. I thought
they'd had him elevated with Nurse there for a while, and
and he just looked more comfortable. He looked like he was making plays. He looked like he was kind of just comfortable in his skin at the NHL level, going, I know what my capabilities are. I might step out of my comfort zone to try and make an extra pass here or there. But he looked a lot more comfortable. Since coming back off the injury, you can tell he's kind of waded his way back into it. So I can make an argument, like, clearly Stetcher could go in, and I think should, but I also think they're looking at big picture here and saying, we need to get him going. The playoffs might get greasy. We might need a 6'7" defenseman who can be physical, who can shut down, who, when he's at his best, is a very, solid complement to another defender. So I think the thought process would be, Are we looking big picture, or are we just looking in a vacuum going, we didn't love his last couple games? Do we give Stetcher a look and get him comfortable down the stretch? So that'll be, internal conversations with the coaching staff and even management. But I would argue if we see Desharnais, it's them trying to get him into a groove and get him, kind of into top speed, game speed.
What about Winnipeg on the other side of this thing? This is an important game for them tonight. They've lost 3 in a row. They've been a really consistent team so far throughout the season. Still, I'd say even flying under the radar a little bit when you look at some of the top-end contenders. What do you think they need to do to get their game back on track tonight? Who are the Winnipeg Jets?
A lot of it's confidence. I did the game on Saturday, a panel on them, and, them getting shut out. Like, they haven't had problems scoring. If you take a look, I believe they have 12 or maybe 13 when you add in Toffoli's numbers and that, of guys who have double-digit in goals, which is very impressive. That says to me that they've got, balanced scoring, and they get it from everybody. But it's more, I think teams are ready for them. I think they didn't look as intense in their last couple games. That's going to change. The Edmonton Oilers don't get any free games anymore. People know what they're capable of. People get up to play against McDavid and Draisaitl and, now Hyman. So the Oilers aren't rolling in and getting a half-ass effort from anybody. You're going to get a desperate Winnipeg Jets team that's not been happy with their production and their play recently. And, you could argue Hellebuyck, although Ovi had one really nice goal, one squeaker between the body. Hellebuyck is a guy that you got pulled the day before. He's going to be loaded for bear. He's going to be a guy that is going to be motivated. I don't know. I mean, they might even put Brossoit in just to give him a day off. But I would argue that, Hellebuyck, all of those guys are going to be very motivated to play an Edmonton Oilers team who should be motivated as well. They probably didn't like their weekend. They didn't like the results. I think they played better in Ottawa, and I thought that game could have got out of hand easily for them if they would have converted on some of their chances. But I think they've got to have a 60-minute effort here in Winnipeg tonight.
Quickly, before I let you go, just on Ovechkin, since the All-Star game, he has not been washed. He's been scoring at like a 58-goal pace since the All-Star game. Turns out he can still put the puck in the back of the net.
It is, and there was a reset there for him. I don't know if he went home or if he just, kind of got back to the roots that gets him goal scoring. The one thing that was concerning for me when he was stuck on 8 goals and just kind of limping along in the season is he just wasn't getting to areas where he could shoot the puck. So we all know he could shoot the puck. The hands aren't gone. It's just a little bit of the speed and the execution of the shot. And now he's getting to places. And let's be honest, Dylan Strome had a breakaway the other day and turned and gave it to Ovi on the back door against the Leafs. So, the team is well aware of him trying to catch Wayne. So, we are going to see. And that's where I thought about the other night with the Oilers. The whole focus coming in against Toronto even is, can we get Hyman 50? And now he's got 50. Just let everyone play. Because there were times where 97's passing up shots as he's trying to force feed it over. And I know he wants the assists, but there's you still need the wins. And I think now everybody can just chill, play their game. And Hyman's got a chance to get to 60. Can he get to 56, 58, 60? Let it unfold naturally instead of trying to force feed things.
As always, man, we appreciate the time, and thanks again for saving Commonwealth.
We need a framed photo. You need a signed framed photo we'll put up somewhere.
I want that singed sleeve. Do you still have that kicking around?
No, it was, what it was? I can remember it to this day. It was a white kind of long sleeve shirt, and I played for the St. Albert Eagle Raiders.
Okay.
And it was an Eagle Raiders shirt, so it had the Eagle Raiders logo on the sleeves. And the left sleeve, as I put my hand up, that got burnt a little bit.
Unbelievable, this guy. You are a hero, Jamie. We'll talk to you next week, man.